the catcher, Mike Harrow. 348 as you see the batting average, 1 home run, and it was an inside the park home run against Puerto Rico. Was 1 for 3 in the playoff game versus New Zealand. And a swing and a miss on another changeup offering from Heine Shannon.
He's had some rough outings the last 2 or 3 times that he's pitched, so he's due to give New Zealand 4 or 5 innings.
In his last outing, he gave up 5 runs and 5 hits in an extra inning win in the playoffs versus Japan.
With Harrow at the plate, what an accomplishment it would be to have father and son win a world championship.
His 64-year-old father, Bob, originally from Milverton, Ontario, Canada, is Harrow on the ground to Travis Wilson in no trouble to record the out. And Shannon's off-speed offerings has the Australian hitters way ahead here early.
With the changeup, you can't be reaching out and trying to pull that pitch. You've got to go with it. He had a good location, good spot, outside, little movement. Poor at bat.
Shannon Winters, the 25-year-old 6'2" center fielder, has had an excellent tournament. 11 hits to go along with that .407 average. 6 runs batted in, and scored 2 of the 7 runs in the playoff triumph over New Zealand.
What a boost in confidence this would be for both New Zealand and Heine Shannon if he can get Australia in the first 1, 2, 3. Their pitching has to come through to keep this game close today.
Winters has a pair of home runs in the tournament, both of those coming in the same game against Puerto Rico in the round robin portion. Australia, a combined record playoff and round robin of 8-1. Their lone loss, a 9-6, 9-inning setback in the round robin to Canada. As Winters looks to get aboard here in the bottom half of the first inning. And he hits a hard 2-hopper. Wilson almost came up. A 1-2-3 start for Heine Shannon and the 3-time defending world champions. Wilson stays down. Tons of time for the 3rd out. No runs, no hits, and no errors through 1 inning in this championship game of the 2009, the 12th ISF Men's World Championship. Donnie Hale to lead things off. Here in the top of the 2nd, Hale delivered a huge 2-run homer against Canada in the 8-5 victory. The ball carries right to the track before it is called in. Did not look like it was going to be trouble for Josh Davidson, but at the end, Davison has to make a pretty good play, Terry.
The wind's blowing out a little bit. We saw it in the last game between Canada and New Zealand, and it could carry even further today before this game's over if that wind does pick up.
Davison has been one of Bob Harrow's most pleasant surprises, especially with the bat. As Wilson takes ball 1 from Folkert.
In our discussion with him the other day, that's what he indicated, Peter. He was most pleased with his efforts in this tournament.
New Zealand only managed 1 hit against Folkert in their previous playoff meeting. Wilson was 0 for 3 in that contest. Did have a hit against Canada in the semifinal affair. And just off the fists, and again it's Davidson over in right field to handle it.
You really got to give Wilson a lot of credit. Just watching him field that ground ball and come off the field after that last half inning, he's really favoring that leg injury. I don't know if he'll last the game today.
And Wilson, you could tell, a little disappointed, feeling like he just missed that pitch. Davison with 2 putouts to begin the top half of the second inning. Brings to the plate the catcher, Patrick Shannon. And Shannon has truly enjoyed this type of stage. He's a 2-time world champion. Hit a very important 2-run home run against Canada in the title game in 2004 after Canada had taken a 3-0 lead in the top half of the first inning in that gold medal game in Christchurch, New Zealand. New Zealand went on to win it by a count of 9-5. Up until the playoff round, probably not the type of average. However, in the game against Canada, Patrick Shannon really turned things up.
A good sign for this potent offensive lineup for New Zealand is, unlike the first time they met in the playoff game, they're putting the ball in play. They're taking their cuts. Fogert had a strikeout or 2 by the time it got to this point.
And the high rise from the 6'4" right-hander.
You don't see too many 22-year-olds with his mental capacity and abilities to stay composed in this situation.
And again, in on the fist. And a matter of fact, it broke the bat of Shannon, who snaps it over his leg.
That tells you how hard he's throwing when that's only the type of foul that they can get on that. If he can keep the ball inside and move it around outside as well, New Zealand's going to have as good a lineup as they have trouble getting to him.
Terry, fair to say that he's probably the hardest thrower in the world today? Or certainly in the top 2 or 3?
Definitely. And what's impressive about him is that he throws as hard in the 6th and 7th inning as he does in the first 2. He doesn't lose much velocity over the course of a game.
Good velocity, but he loses Shannon, who's on board again. He was on base all 3 times in the victory over Canada, including a single, a double, and he was hit by a pitch. So as was the case in the top of the first, New Zealand with a runner aboard here in the top of the second as well. For the right fielder, Reese Casely.
Let's see if the Kiwis try and get him in scoring position and run on the first pitch.
They did steal a couple of bases in the victory over Canada.
You might see a pitch out here if they think he's going.
Casely flies that ball into left, where Andrew Kirkpatrick has no trouble. Casely pops it up and still looking for our first hit of this World Championship gold medal game. Fantastic crowd, as has been the case since day one. What a wonderful job the organizers, the support, the people of Saskatoon and area. First class all the way around. It's been a great event. And this, the exclamation point of it, the gold medal final. Nick Shales down the right field line, Casely over, and he won't get there. A valiant attempt by Casely, who late in the ball game against Canada made a very important play going up against the fence to help halt a Canadian rally.
Peter, even though that was foul, it still carried a little further than I thought. Speaking of Saskatoon, hospitality second to none.
Casely looks on. Shales, 24 years old. He's from New South Wales. Has 11 runs scored and a .429 batting average. Went 1 for 2 with a couple of those runs scored in the triumph over New Zealand. As we continue to look for hit number 1 of this title affair.
First run in this game is going to be key. If Australia gets it, I think that could really frustrate the Kiwis. If it's the other way around, the longer this game goes close, the advantage goes to New Zealand.
Good hold, Chelsea, good hold!
A change up again from Shannon. It's really his bread and butter pitch, Terry. And Shales is able to foul that down the right field line into the bleachers.
The question is, how long can he keep it up for? And again, if he doesn't show enough velocity in his other pitches, it won't be as effective.
Quite a spot for Heine Shannon. First appearance with a New Zealand national team in this type of an event. His second world championship. And this high rise, not even handled by his brother Patrick. The count goes even to Nick Shales at 2-2.
He's had control problems. That's when he gets into trouble. He's going to have to eliminate walks in this game.
Shales is just a good-looking hitter. Isn't he, Terry? Pretty compact in his swing.
I've been impressed with his bat speed in this tournament. Very relaxed.
Here's the 2-2 to Shales, and again goes with that pitch and fouls it well out of play.
When he does throw that change, Shannon's got to make sure that he's got the right location. He leaves it up in the zone. This is the type of hitter at the plate that can take advantage of a poor pitch location.
And as I mentioned earlier, for Shales, this is his first appearance in a World Championship. Did not participate in an under-19 event, of which Australia has won the last 4. Another change on 2 hops. Tough play, Nuku, and the throw is sailed high, and we'll see how they score it. I think it probably should be a base hit.
That's definitely a base hit. And again, just what I talked about, if Shannon's going to come in with that changeup, he can't leave it in the middle of the plate, which is exactly where that one was.
Really no chance to get Shales at first.
Base hit all the way.
Nuku very deep in the hole on the 2-hopper. And our first hit of this championship game belongs to Nick Shales.
Let's see what Coach Harrow does now that he's got nobody out and a runner on first. He's not afraid to do anything.
He is not. Very aggressive. This team stolen 22. A bunt from Josh Davison is a good one and just out. At first base was the right fielder Davison, but he advances Shales into scoring position.
Perfect bunt execution. Put it right where you need to. Excellent technique.
Wilson over to cover, the second baseman.
With Bob Harrow running the offensive show for the Australian team.